In this video, I will walk through the creation of simple React project and use this to explain certain concepts that are associated with React. Now, to start off with, the first thing we need to do is to get our basic React project going. Now, to do this, I'm going to write this project out in Visual Studio Code. As you can see, I have Visual Studio Code open. I also have down here open a terminal editor, and this is gonna allow me to start the basic React project. You will notice I am the React projects directory on my computer, and I would recommend that everyone actually make a React projects directory. This way all the projects that you're working on can go in that specific directory. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get a certain node package installed. The node package is called create react app. To get that package installed, we go npm install -g create react app. This command, when run, will install the create react app package on your computer. Now, npm stands for node package manager, and to get access to the node package manager, you got to go to nodejs.org and install node.js. So if you go through this process, we will install the create react app, and that's done. Okay, the first thing we want to do is we actually want to now start by creating our React application. And so the way we do that is type in create react app. Now, create react app is a node package that's actually provided by Facebook. It has a lot of bundled software that comes in. It has Webpack, it has Babel, and what those do is they allow us to quickly deploy a basic React application. Right? It allows us to very, very quickly create a basic React application and deploy it. Okay, so I'm going to type in create react app, and I'm going to call this React app, let's call it starter app. And you've got to do this all in lowercase. And so what this does is it creates a new directory. As you can see, it creates a new directory called starter under React project, and it installs a couple of different packages, React, React DOM, and React scripts in that directory. This is going to take a few minutes. As you can see, we are done with the installation, and to give some suggestions, type in cd starter, type in npm start, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to go into the directory starter. Now, if you browse through the directory, you'll notice there are some things already installed over there: node modules, package.json, public, and src. We're going to type in npm start, and this starts. It launches the React application, runs some scripts, and starts up a server on our machine. And so this is the basic intro React application, right? So it has some basic template. Now what we're going to do is we're going to browse to this directory and take a look at some of the files in there. So to do that, we're going to open up a folder. And the name of the folder for me is under ntrainee, React project. Click on that folder, click on open. Now there's going to be a small problem when you do this, when you open up the folder. I try to relaunch it, and it says Safari can't connect to the server, can't open the page at localhost 3000. Now, this is because I was working from the Visual Studio Code terminal, and when the folder was opened, Visual Studio Code relaunched, and so the command that was npm start that was actually launched actually shut down. So I'm just gonna do npm start once again over here, so that inside the starter project, so that the project launches again. There we go. Now, as you can see on the left hand side, we have the project starter or the directory starter, and there are a couple of directories in here. We can, I mean, there's a directory called node modules that has a bunch of subdirectories inside this. Let's ignore this for the moment. There's a directory called public, and it's a directory called src. In public, you'll see an index.html, you'll see a file called manifest.json, and you'll find a favicon, right? Under src, you'll see a bunch of source files, app.css, app.js, JS, and so on and so forth. And so the first thing we're going to do is that we are going to first take this index.html and kind of clean it up in a way. There's a lot of stuff over here, you know, head, link, and stuff like that. We're just gonna get rid of all of this stuff. Right? Let's keep it really simple. Right? There's a title, React app. There's a header. There's a body with no script tags. I'm just gonna dump the no script tags. And there's a div ID called root over here. There's a bunch of comments over here. Get rid of that. Okay, so this is a very simple HTML5, and you can see it in no way affects the page itself, right? The thing to keep in mind is that we need in some way to have a div over here. Think of this div as like a container, and this container has an ID where all the content that we write in our JS actually go, right? And so really everything that we do in React, we're going to do it in JavaScript files and JS files, right, that are a part of the src, part of the source directory, and all of the JavaScript that we write in the source files under the src directory, I'm sorry, go into a certain div, a certain container. This is where your project is going to exist, and we can call this div whatever we want, but we've got to have a div that's named over there, right? So far what we've done to the index.html no way affects what we see. Now, related to this is a file called index.js over here. Now, the first thing we want to do is there's a bunch of import statements over here. There's another file called app.js over here. There are a bunch of different files over here. So what we are going to do, first of all, is we are going to go to this src directory, and we are going to delete all of these files. I'm going to delete all these files under the src directory. Now, as you can see, the project has failed to compile, right? If you go over here, you get an error message, the project has failed to compile, there's no index.js, right? And so we're going to start from scratch. We're going to build our React application from scratch, okay? Now, to do this, the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to give this, we're going to try to solve this error first of all, right? We've got to have an index.js file. And so let's do it. Let's give this an index.js file. So let's create a new file, and let's call this index.js. Okay, now the project is compiled, but there's nothing in here. So, right, the first thing we need to do is we made an index.js file and we pointed it towards, and now our project is compiled. And so our source directory obviously needs to have an index.js. Now, what we need to do in this is in some way make sure that the content that we create in index.js and other JavaScript files are kind of pointed to I pointed out to the index.html where into this ID root, right? Now, to do this, we are going to actually use two aspects of React. One is the basic React package, and the other one is React DOM, right? Now these packages are already part of the Node modules that are installed over here. If you scroll down, yep, we already have React and we have React DOM, right? So we have these two packages that are part of this project. And so one of the things that we need to do is we need to start making sure that we can actually, you know, use these packages and allow us to kind of in some way modify the HTML over here, right? To render HTML over here. What we're going to try to do is we're going to try to create our HTML in JavaScript and take this HTML that we create in JavaScript and pop it out to this div. Okay, and so we can create HTML in a variety of different ways, and in JavaScript, the way we would do that is through the use of functions, right? Now, we've seen that we can create a variety of different types of functions in Java, and one of the ways that we can actually create this is through the use of arrow functions, right? And so let's say I create a very simple function over here, right? Okay, so I'm going to create a function, and I'm going to assign this to a variable. I'm going to call this function, let's say, for instance, app, right? And since it's an arrow function, I can express it like this, right? And so this is a very simple arrow function. The name of the function is app. Now, in this function, I am going to do something very simple. I'm going to return, right? This function is going to return some HTML in some way. And the HTML that this function is going to return is, let's say, a simple, like a header tag, right? So let's say there's a header tag over here. Something very simple as this. This is a starter project, right? So this is a very simple function, and the name of the function is called app. I've expressed it using an arrow function, and all this function does is it returns some HTML, basically h1 tags. This is a starter project. Okay, now what we want to do is we in some way want to take whatever this function is doing and populate it within our index.html under this div right here. This is where we want to populate the content. Now, to do this, we need to actually take advantage of some of the capabilities that React offers us. And it offers us these capabilities as part of the React DOM, right? And so in some way, we need to actually use the React DOM capabilities in this project. And so what we want to do is we want to import the React DOM project. And so I'm just going to say import React DOM from the package React DOM, right? And that allows me to import the React document object model modifier, and it is called React DOM, right? In addition to that, I'm just going to import React from React as well, allowing me to work with React. Now, while this is going to compile, I'm still not in any way getting this content to show up over here, right? To do that, I need to add one more line. At the end of index.js, I need to add one line over here, and this is as follows. I'm going to work with the React DOM object, and I am going to render something. Render is a specific function that's available as part of the React DOM that'll take this and render it on index.html. And what I want the render function to do is I want it to render certain aspects of my function, which is I want it to render the app function, right? The question is, where do I want this to render? I'm getting the ID root, and in that ID, I am rendering this app. And once I do this, I should get that HTML in here, right? And so this is the amazing thing about React. React allows you to write HTML in your JavaScript and allows you to take this HTML and render it. So as you can see over here, we have just rendered some HTML that we've actually written in JavaScript into the document object model over here of index.html. Now, the thing about this is that this is actually not simple HTML. If you remember, React actually has a bunch of functions, create element functions that allow us to create different types of HTML elements. In this case, what I'm actually doing is using JSX. This HTML is not actually straight HTML, it is actually JSX, and I am rendering this JSX that is converted into React through Webpack and Babel, and I'm actually converting this into actual React code. JSX is actually converted into React code. React code actually creates the HTML elements, allowing them to be rendered on the page. So if I actually take all this code and if I actually see what this, what the equivalent React code is, this is what it would actually look like in React. So the code I just wrote over here that is written in JSX converts into React as this, right? So that H1 tag that I just wrote, this is a starter project. If I actually wrote it in React, would basically be a create element function. The create element function is H1. With no properties, and the inner text is this is a starter project. And what I'm doing is I'm rendering that element to the root div, right? And so Webpack and Babel actually allow this conversion to take place automatically. And so the JSX that I actually write in here is converted into create React statements through the use of Webpack and Babel. Okay, and so so far all that we've done is we've deleted all the files from src. We've created a very simple function, and this function returns some HTML. And what I can do is I can render that function into a certain document element.